The story of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba is one that has echoed through the centuries, weaving together threads of history, legend, faith, and cultural transformation. The tale is not only a chronicle of a legendary meeting between two powerful rulers, but also the foundation for claims of a royal African bloodline that has shaped the identity and destiny of nations, particularly Ethiopia. Solomon, son of King David, is revered in Judeo-Christian and Islamic traditions as a monarch of extraordinary wisdom, wealth, and influence. His reign marks a golden age in ancient Israel, distinguished by the construction of the magnificent First Temple in Jerusalem, an era of peace and the expansion of his kingdom's influence across the known world. The Queen of Sheba, meanwhile, emerges from the mists of antiquity as a ruler of great wealth and intelligence, sovereign of a kingdom whose exact historical location has been debated, but which is most often associated with the ancient lands of Saba in present-day Yemen or the Horn of Africa, particularly Ethiopia. The biblical account, found in the Book of Kings and the Book of Chronicles, tells of the Queen of Sheba's visit to Jerusalem, driven by curiosity and respect for Solomon's famed wisdom. She arrives with a caravan bearing gold, spices, and precious stones, determined to test Solomon with hard questions and riddles. Solomon answers them all, impressing the queen with his intellect, the splendor of his court, and the organization of his kingdom. In return, the queen bestows lavish gifts upon Solomon, and after an exchange of wisdom and wealth, she returns to her land. While the biblical text is relatively terse, other sources expand and embellish the narrative. The Quran mentions the Queen of Sheba, known as Bilqis, and her encounter with Solomon, emphasizing themes of faith, submission to God, and the miraculous. Yet, it is the Ethiopian national epic, the Kebra Nagast, or the Glory of Kings, that provides the most detailed and influential account of the relationship between Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, known in Ethiopian tradition as Makeda. According to the Kebra Nagast, the meeting between Solomon and Makeda is more than a diplomatic exchange. It is a transformative event that alters the course of history for Ethiopia. The narrative recounts that after being dazzled by Solomon's wisdom and hospitality, Makeda converts to the worship of the God of Israel. On the eve of her departure, Solomon invites her to a final banquet. Knowing that she had vowed not to take anything from his palace, Solomon promises not to force himself upon her as long as she does not take anything from his house. However, during the night, Makeda, thirsty from the spicy food she had eaten, drinks water left at her bedside. Solomon then claims that she has broken her vow, and according to the Kebra Nagast, they spend the night together. Makeda returns to her homeland and later gives birth to a son, Menelik, whose name means son of the wise. When Menelik grows up, he journeys to Jerusalem to meet his father, Solomon. Solomon welcomes him and offers him the throne of Israel, but Menelik chooses instead to return to Ethiopia, accompanied by a retinue of Israelite nobles, and according to legend, the Ark of the Covenant itself. This act is said to establish the Solomonic dynasty in Ethiopia, a royal lineage that would claim descent from the house of David and rule Ethiopia for centuries, culminating in the modern era with Emperor Haile Selassie. The story of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba and the birth of Menelik has had a profound impact on Ethiopian history, religion, and identity. It has provided Ethiopian monarchs with a divine legitimacy, linking them directly to the biblical kings of Israel and conferring upon the nation a unique place in the Judeo-Christian world. The narrative has also served as a bridge between Africa and the ancient Near East, suggesting a shared heritage that transcends geography and time. From a historical perspective, the existence of the Queen of Sheba and the exact nature of her relationship with Solomon remain subjects of debate. Archaeological evidence points to robust trade and cultural exchanges between the kingdoms of Israel and the Sabaeans of southern Arabia, as well as the kingdoms of the Horn of Africa. The wealth of Sheba, described as a land of gold and spices, reflects the prosperity of these ancient civilizations, which commanded the lucrative trade routes connecting Africa, Arabia, and the Mediterranean. The Ethiopian tradition, as preserved in the Kebra Nagast, is central to the nation's self-understanding. The claim of Solomonic descent has underpinned the legitimacy of Ethiopian emperors, who trace their ancestry through Menelik back to Solomon and David. This lineage was not merely a matter of pride, but a cornerstone of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, which venerates the Ark of the Covenant and views Ethiopia as a second Zion chosen by God. The story's resonance extends beyond Ethiopia. In the wider African diaspora, the legend of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba has inspired countless works of art, literature, and music. It serves as a symbol of African royalty, wisdom, and connection to the sacred traditions of the ancient world. For many people of African descent, the narrative offers a counterpoint to colonial narratives that denied Africa a place in the biblical and historical imagination. The figure of the Queen of Sheba herself has become an icon of female power and intelligence. Throughout history, she has been depicted as a woman of color, a queen whose beauty and wisdom challenged the assumptions of her time. In the arts, she is often portrayed as a majestic figure, regal and commanding, her visit to Solomon a meeting of equals rather than a supplicant before a great king. The story has also raised questions about the nature of cultural exchange and identity in the ancient world. The union between Solomon and Makeda and the birth of Menelik symbolize the blending of traditions, the interweaving of African and Near Eastern lineages, and the emergence of a uniquely Ethiopian synthesis of faith and kingship. The claim that the Ark of the Covenant was brought to Ethiopia, housed in the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion in Axum, remains a powerful element of Ethiopian spirituality, even as it is shrouded in mystery and controversy. The Solomonic dynasty, founded on these legends, endured for almost 3,000 years, surviving invasions, religious upheavals, and periods of internal strife. Its rulers saw themselves as custodians of a sacred trust, guardians of the Ark, and heirs to the wisdom of Solomon. The dynasty's last sovereign, Emperor Haile Selassie, was overthrown in 1974, but his legacy and the mythic history of his ancestors continues to inspire Ethiopians and people around the world. The relationship between Solomon and the Queen of Sheba is not merely a romantic or political episode. It is a story about the meeting of worlds, the transmission of wisdom, and the shaping of identity. It reveals how legends can become the foundation of nations, how faith and power are intertwined, and how the past continues to inform the present. In the landscape of world history, the tale stands as a testament to the enduring power of narrative. It reminds us that our understanding of who we are, where we come from, and what we might become is shaped as much by the stories we tell as by the facts we uncover. For Ethiopia, and for all who look to the example of Solomon and Makeda, it is a story of pride, resilience, and the possibility of greatness rooted in the wisdom of the past. As we look back on the story of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, we see the outlines of a relationship that transcends the boundaries of time and place. The meeting of these two extraordinary figures, whether understood as history or legend, continues to inspire questions about the nature of leadership, the role of women in history, and the deep connections that bind the peoples of Africa and the Near East. The story's enduring appeal lies in its complexity. It is at once a tale of political alliance, personal encounter, and spiritual transformation. It speaks to the universal themes of curiosity, respect, and the search for understanding. It challenges us to think about the ways in which our identities are constructed, not only through blood and ancestry, but through the ideas and values we inherit and pass on. The African bloodline that emerges from the union of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba is more than a genealogical claim. It is a symbol of the rich and diverse heritage of Africa, a continent whose history is intertwined with the great civilizations of the ancient world. It is a reminder that Africa has always been a center of power, culture, and innovation, a land of queens and kings, prophets and sages. The narrative also invites us to consider the ways in which stories can be used to assert sovereignty, resist oppression, and affirm dignity. For centuries, the legend of Solomonic descent provided a bulwark against colonial domination, a source of strength in times of adversity, and a beacon of hope for the future. In the modern era, the legacy of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba continues to resonate. It is reflected in the pride of Ethiopians for their unique heritage, in the reverence accorded to the ancient churches and monasteries of the Ethiopian highlands, and in the ongoing fascination with the mysteries of Aksum and Lalibela. It is echoed in the Rastafarian movement, which venerates Haile Selassie as a messianic figure and draws inspiration from the ancient ties between Ethiopia and Israel. The story's influence extends to literature, art, and popular culture. Writers, poets, and musicians have found in the tale a source of inspiration and a means of exploring questions of identity, love, and power. The image of the Queen of Sheba, regal and wise, continues to captivate the imagination, inviting new generations to reflect on the meaning of her journey and the legacy of her encounter with Solomon. In the end, the relationship between Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, and the African bloodline that is said to have sprung from their union, is a story of possibility. It is a reminder that the past is not a fixed and unchanging reality, but a tapestry woven from memory, imagination, and hope. It is an invitation to look beyond the boundaries of nation and race, to see in the meeting of Solomon and Makeda a symbol of the potential for unity, understanding, and shared destiny. As we continue to explore the story, we are reminded of the power of narrative to shape our sense of self and our vision of the world. The legend of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba is not only a window into the ancient past, but a mirror in which we can glimpse our own aspirations, our struggles, and our dreams. So let us remember the Queen of Sheba, who journeyed across deserts and mountains to seek wisdom, and Solomon, who welcomed her as an equal and shared with her the treasures of his kingdom. Let us honor the memory of Menelik, the child of two worlds, who carried with him the promise of a new beginning for his people. And let us celebrate the enduring legacy of their story, a testament to the power of encounter, the richness of cultural exchange, and the enduring quest for wisdom and understanding that unites all humanity. In the silence that follows the telling of the tale, we are left with questions and possibilities. Did the Queen of Sheba and Solomon truly meet? And if so, what passed between them? What truths lie hidden in the legends, waiting to be discovered by those who seek them? And how might their story inspire us to build bridges of understanding, to honor the wisdom of the past, and to create a future worthy of their legacy? These are the questions that have animated generations, that continue to inspire scholars, artists, and seekers of truth. They remind us that history is not only a record of what has been, but a guide to what might yet be. And they invite us to join the journey, to follow in the footsteps of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, and to seek in our own time the wisdom that can light the way forward. And if you're still here, maybe your soul just got touched in the deepest place. At Tales of Black, every story is a ritual, a reminder that some memories are not written in books, but in bone and blood. If this story stirred something in you, share it with someone still wondering. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what comes next. And if there's a legend, a memory, or a haunting you want told, leave it in the comments. Maybe your story is the next one summoned in the ritual.